When I got into a car accident, my wife refused to come to the hospital to sign the surgery consent. My wife texted, "Can't this wait? We're busy at work." So, I called my brother instead. 3 weeks later, I with papers. You ever have one of those days that start bad and just snowball? Mine started with a breakfast burrito that betrayed me. Grease everywhere, shirt ruined, and me cussing at a napkin like it owed me money. I should have taken that as a sign from the universe. Hey man, stay home today. But no. I pushed through like every other idiot who thinks productivity is a personality. I was on my way to a client site, running late but optimistic. Because apparently, I'm delusional. Traffic was its usual brand of hell, complete with a guy in a lifted truck doing 90 in the slow lane, and someone else brushing their teeth while driving. I remember thinking, if I survive this commute, I deserve a medal. Irony's a funny thing, isn't it? Because 3 hours later, I was lying in a hospital bed, leg twisted like a pretzel, watching a nurse shave the area above my knee like she was prepping a Thanksgiving turkey. Pain does something to your brain. It compresses time, stretches seconds into eternities. Makes you think about things like, why didn't I buy those life insurance add-ons? And did I leave the stove on? The doctor was talking fast, saying things like compound fracture, internal bleeding, and immediate surgery. I heard him, but it all felt muffled, like someone else's crisis was happening nearby. The only thing that really pierced the fog was when he said, "We need your emergency contact's consent." My wife, I managed to whisper, half groaning. "Amanda Walsh. She's my emergency contact." They called her. I watched a nurse type her number in, press the green button, and wait. I could hear the phone ringing faintly through the speaker. One ring, two, three, voicemail. The nurse looked at me with that polite pity hospitals specialize in. "We'll try again, sir." Second attempt. No answer. Third attempt. Nothing. Finally, she said, "Maybe you could text her?" So I did. One hand barely working, fingers numb, vision blurring, I typed, "Hey, in hospital. Bad accident. Need your consent for surgery. Call me ASAP." A few minutes later, my phone buzzed. Relief surged through me until I read it. "Can't this wait? We're busy at work." I swear the room tilted. My brain froze somewhere between, what the hell? And she didn't just say that, right? I reread it 3 times because denial's a strong drug. Nope, still there. Still as cold and casual as if I'd just asked her to pick up milk on her way home. For a moment, I didn't feel pain. Didn't even feel my leg, just this weird hollow laughter bubbling up from somewhere deep. The kind you hear from people about to snap. One of the nurses looked alarmed and called for anesthesia. The doctor leaned in asking if I had anyone else they could reach. And that's when I said the one name that never fails me. Ryan, call Ryan. Ryan Walsh, my younger brother. Human disaster wrapped in charm. The guy who once tried to fix our parents' washing machine with duct tape and optimism. But he's also the kind of guy who shows up no matter what. They called him, and within 30 minutes, he was there. I don't even know how he did it. Probably ignored a dozen traffic laws and made at least 3 people cry on the road. I remember his voice before I even saw his face. "Where's my brother? Someone tell me he's still handsome, at least from the neck up." He barged into the room like a caffeinated superhero, in ripped jeans and a leather jacket, immediately assessing the situation like he was auditioning for Grey's Anatomy Dysfunctional Family Edition. "Bro, you look like roadkill that got promoted," he said, eyes wide, but still trying to joke. "What happened? You pick a fight with a bus?" "Truck," I mumbled. "Truck one." He looked at my leg, grimaced, and then looked at the doctor. "So, what do we gotta do to fix my brother before he starts telling people he's auditioning for The Walking Dead?" The doctor explained the consent issue. Without missing a beat, Ryan said, "I'll sign it. I'm his brother. Let's fix him up before he starts demanding a bionic limb." The doctor hesitated, mentioned hospital policy, forms, liabilities. Ryan leaned in and said, "Doc, unless you want to explain to Mom why her son died waiting for paperwork, you better find me a pen." That did it. 10 minutes later, I was prepped for surgery. As they rolled me toward the operating room, Ryan walked alongside the gurney, still running his mouth. "Don't worry, bro. I told them to install the premium knee. Bluetooth compatible. You can sync it with Spotify." I tried to laugh, but it came out like a wheeze. "Make sure it plays good music then. Already set to your favorite playlist. Songs to limp to." That's the thing about Ryan. Even when the world's falling apart, he finds a way to duct tape it with humor. The anesthesiologist leaned over me, mask in hand. Count backward from 10. I remember thinking 10, 9, 8. Amanda's probably on another Zoom call. Then darkness swallowed me whole. When I woke up, the first thing I noticed was the hum of machines. The second was Ryan snoring in a chair, head tilted back, mouth wide open like a broken Pez dispenser. His phone was still in his lap, screen glowing with missed calls, none of them from Amanda. The nurse smiled when she saw me awake. "Surgery went well. You'll be okay." "Great," I croaked. "Tell my wife I survived, if she checks her notifications." She chuckled nervously. Not sure if I was joking. Spoiler, I wasn't. A few hours later, Ryan stirred awake, rubbing his face. "You alive, or should I start dividing your stuff?" "Barely, but thanks for showing up." "Of course. Mom would haunt me if I didn't." He yawned. "By the way, Amanda texted me." I blinked. "She did?" "Yeah, she said, and I quote, 'Glad he's okay. Tell him I'll visit when work calms down.'" I stared at the ceiling, trying to process that. My wife, my forever, had outsourced my recovery update to my brother. Incredible. Ryan tilted his head. "You sure you married her for love and not for her Wi-Fi plan?" I smirked weakly. At this point, I'm not sure. That night, as I lay in the dim light of the hospital room, the smell of antiseptic filling the air, I replayed everything in my head. The wedding vows, the promises, the "you're my everything" speeches. I remembered her crying at the altar, saying she couldn't imagine a world without me. Turns out she could imagine it just fine, as long as it fit between conference calls. A nurse came in around midnight to check my vitals. She adjusted the IV and said, "You've got a good brother. He hasn't left your side." "Yeah," I said softly. "I noticed." As she walked out, Ryan muttered in his sleep, "Bro, next time, dodge the truck." I smiled for the first time that day. The pain was still there, physical, emotional, existential, but so was something else. A quiet realization that the person who promised to be there in sickness and health had filed an out-of-office reply. When morning came, the sunlight spilling through the blinds felt more like mockery than comfort. My phone buzzed again, a message from Amanda. I braced myself, half hoping for something genuine. "Hope surgery went okay. Don't stress about the bills. I'll handle the insurance part. Gotta jump on a meeting. Love you." Love you. 2 words that used to mean something, now tossed in like a signature line. I typed back a simple thanks. Didn't have the energy for more. Ryan looked over my shoulder and frowned. "You gonna let that slide?" "Not today," I said. "I'm on morphine. I'd probably text something that gets me divorced faster than I can hobble out of here." He grinned. "Fair. But seriously, man, you good?" "Define good," I said. "My leg's metal, my wife's MIA, and my hospital food looks like depression casserole. But yeah, I'm peachy." He laughed, shaking his head. "Same old you, still sarcastic, still unkillable." And maybe he was right. Maybe sarcasm was my survival mechanism. Because as I lay there, staring at the beeping monitor, I realized that pain had stripped everything down to essentials. What hurts, what matters, and who actually gives a damn. Amanda's absence said more than her presence ever did. It wasn't just that she didn't show up. It was that she didn't want to. And that's when the bitterness gave way to clarity. I wasn't angry at the truck anymore. I wasn't even angry at her. I was just done. By the time the nurse came to check my vitals again, I'd already made up my mind. This accident wasn't the end of something. It was the start. The start of me realizing that sometimes the people who swear to love you forever are just good at speeches. And the people who actually love you, they're the ones snoring in a plastic chair beside your hospital bed, drooling on their hoodie and calling you roadkill like it's a nickname of honor. And somewhere between the pain meds and Ryan's rhythmic snoring, I drifted back to sleep with one final thought. If Amanda ever texted, "Can't this wait?" Again, I was finally going to have an answer. No, it can't. Not anymore. There's a special kind of comedy in watching people envy your life when you'd trade it for a nap and a pizza. That was me and Amanda, the so-called power couple. The Instagram-perfect, brunch-loving, LinkedIn-approved, synergy-having duo everyone thought had cracked the code to adulthood. People love to say things like, "You two are goals," which is hilarious, because if you look closely, Those goals were unpaid internships and emotional neglect. Amanda was a marketing director, translation, professional talker, with unlimited access to Canva. Everything about her screamed polished. The hair, the nails, the wardrobe, curated like a corporate campaign. She could sell optimism to a funeral home. And me? I was the quiet one. The IT project manager. The guy who made sure servers stayed up, printers behaved, and some executive didn't cry over lost spreadsheets. I was reliable, invisible, and apparently forgettable. We had the aesthetic. The condo downtown with the minimalist furniture and overpriced candles that smelled like words I couldn't pronounce. Bergamot and cedarwood, Amanda would say, like she was narrating a spa commercial. We'd host dinner parties where I'd cook. She'd pour the wine, and our friends would toast to balance and shared ambition behind closed doors. The only thing we shared was Wi-Fi and a mutual allergy to communication. 3 months after our wedding, Amanda started talking in business slogans. I'd ask, "Hey, you good?" And she'd say, "Let's circle back after this quarter." I thought she was joking at first. Then she wasn't. She'd refer to our arguments as performance reviews, our weekends as team-building opportunities. I kept waiting for her to hand me a PowerPoint labeled How to Be a Better Husband, a Q1 report. To the world, though, we were killing it. Our social media looked like a Hallmark ad shot by Apple. Weekend hikes, rooftop dinners, anniversary captions written like PR statements. My favorite was, marry someone who challenges you to grow. Yeah, pretty sure she meant grow tolerance for being ignored. Our friend group didn't help. Most were Amanda's colleagues from the agency, people who said things like brand storytelling and synergize engagement. They loved to talk about alignment and energy and manifesting success. Meanwhile, I was manifesting the will to survive another night of quinoa salads and performative laughter. There was one couple, Megan and Chase, who were particularly unbearable. Megan once told me, "It's so inspiring how Amanda leads in your relationship. You're so comfortable letting her shine." I smiled and said, "Yeah, it's great being the supporting actor in my own marriage." She laughed, thinking it was a joke. I wasn't joking. Amanda liked that narrative, the "I'm the boss, he's the chill guy" dynamic. It played well on camera. We'd pose for couple photos where she'd be front and center, hand on my chest, like she was introducing her brand ambassador. Every caption had a motivational quote, followed by a heart emoji and a plug for her company's wellness blog. I remember one night vividly. It was a Wednesday, the kind of midweek slump where all I wanted was beer, couch, and silence. Amanda burst through the door, talking at full volume, phone in one hand, heels clicking like a metronome. "You won't believe what happened today," she said, dropping her purse on the counter like it had wronged her. I put my laptop down. What happened? Corporate asked me to lead the new brand strategy for Vitalize. It's huge. I might have to travel next month. That's awesome, I said, genuinely happy for her. Where to? She waved a manicured hand. Does it matter? It's exposure. Exposure, her favorite word. She said it like sunlight cured everything. I told her I was proud, asked if she wanted dinner. She said she'd already eaten with the team, which, in Amanda speak, meant a group of overworked 20-somethings pretending to like kale because she did. After she showered, she spent 30 minutes taking mirror selfies in her new blazer, captioning them, "Late nights, big dreams." I sat on the bed scrolling through memes, wondering when our marriage turned into a PR campaign. It wasn't that Amanda stopped loving me overnight. It's that she started loving her reflection more. Every success of hers came with a subtle subtraction of us. Date nights turned into networking opportunities. Vacations became content creation trips. I tried suggesting we unplug once, maybe do something spontaneous. She blinked and said, "That's not scalable." Our conversations were sterile too. I tried to talk about work stress, how one of my team leads kept deploying buggy updates, and she'd interrupt with, "Have you considered rebranding your management approach?" Lady, I'm not running a startup. I'm trying to stop Gary from deleting the database again. But every time I thought about bringing up how disconnected we'd become, she'd flash that PR smile and say, "Don't overthink it. We're just busy building." Building what exactly? The Great Wall of emotional distance? Still, I played my part. I went to her company events, smiled at people who said, "You must be so proud of Amanda," and resisted the urge to say, Yeah, she's killing it. Me, not so much. At one networking dinner, her boss, some silver-haired dude named Greg, slapped me on the back and said, Amanda tells me you're the backbone of her support system. That's real love right there. I nodded, sipping my drink. Yeah, every CEO needs good IT support. He laughed, but Amanda didn't. Later in the car, she said, Could you not make jokes about that stuff? People might take it the wrong way. What stuff? You know, that I'm the breadwinner. Oh, so the issue isn't that I'm unhappy, it's that I might damage your brand image? She rolled her eyes. God, you're being dramatic. Yeah, sorry, I'll circle back later, I said, mimicking her corporate tone. She didn't find it funny. That was our rhythm for months. One long PowerPoint slide titled Mutual Resentment, a Love Story. Meanwhile, her social media was booming. She'd post about finding balance while I was doing the dishes at midnight. Her captions got longer. Her replies to me got shorter. Once, I commented, proud of you, under one of her posts. She replied, thanks, with a smiley face. I might as well have been a random follower. Then came the Power Couple feature. Some lifestyle magazine ran an article titled Love, Leadership, and the Modern Marriage. We were the poster pair. They interviewed us in our living room, me awkwardly perched beside her while she talked about shared goals and partnership through ambition. I smiled through the whole thing like a malfunctioning animatronic. After they left, I asked, You really believe all that? She shrugged. It's aspirational. You mean fictional. She ignored me. When the article dropped, her coworkers flooded the comments. Couple goals, inspiration. You two are amazing. Even my mom texted me, You look so happy. I stared at the photo of us on the couch. Her leaning forward, me slightly faded in the background, and thought, yeah, I look thrilled. The cracks were there, but they blended into the aesthetic. We'd stopped arguing, not because we fixed anything, but because we stopped trying. She'd go to work early, come home late, and I'd fill the silence with reruns and sarcasm. Once, she came in at midnight, whispering into her phone, and I heard her say, He's asleep, don't worry. When I asked who it was, she said, Work call. I wanted to believe her. I really did. The illusion was strong, though. Our lives looked beautiful from the outside, the way a burning building looks beautiful from space. Every compliment from friends, every heart emoji on her posts, it all reinforced the idea that we were perfect. And I went along with it, because the alternative meant admitting I was failing at something everyone thought I was winning. One night, after she'd fallen asleep with her laptop still glowing beside her, I sat in the dark living room staring at our framed wedding photo. We looked so in love, so sure. The version of us in that picture had no idea how quiet the house would become, how laughter would turn into calendar notifications. I thought about deleting her social media accounts just to see if she'd notice. Spoiler, she would have noticed only because it affected her engagement metrics. Instead, I did what I always did. I poured a drink, scrolled through Reddit, and told myself, this is just a phase. Except it wasn't. It was the new normal. By the time I realized how far apart we drifted, I was more roommate than husband. I'd wake up to her already gone, come home to her still working. Some nights, she'd kiss me goodnight without even looking away from her screen. The kind of absent-minded affection you give a pet. Then one morning, she left for work in a rush, wearing a blazer I'd never seen before. She said she'd be home late. I said, okay. She didn't even hear me. As the door closed, I looked around the apartment and realized something awful. We didn't live there together. We just occupied the same Wi-Fi. That night, I ordered takeout, ate alone, and watched her latest post pop up on my feed. Grind now, shine later. The caption ended with a heart emoji. I stared at it for a long time before muttering, yeah, well, one of us is grinding, the other's just getting worn down. And that's when it hit me. We weren't a power couple. We were just two people running separate PR campaigns under one roof. We'd built an empire on appearances. And like every badly coded program, it was just waiting for the right crash to expose the bugs. I just didn't know that crash was literally coming for me. You ever get that weird sixth sense that life's about to sucker punch you? Yeah, I didn't. I was too busy being the good husband, the kind who paid bills on time, folded laundry wrong, and still believed effort counted for something. Looking back, it's funny how before the crash feels like its own lifetime. Like a TV show where the first few seasons were calm and boring, just so the finale could hurt more. 3 months before everything went sideways, I finally bought my dream car. Now, dream car might sound like a Maserati or some sleek Tesla that drives itself while you pretend to read The Economist. Nope, mine was a silver Toyota Camry. Not fancy, not flashy, but reliable. Like a loyal dog that just wanted to get you places and never complained. I'd saved up for years, skipping gadgets and vacations because I wanted something that was mine. Not a shared lease, not a corporate perk, not technically in her name, just mine. When I pulled into our driveway that day, I was beaming. The paint gleamed, the interior smelled like possibility, and the Bluetooth actually worked. Unlike Amanda's affection. I couldn't wait to show her. I even parked it at an angle so she'd notice it first thing. She walked out of the house, phone glued to her hand as usual, scrolling like her thumbs had stock options. "Looks," I said, grinning. "Finally did it!" She glanced up for a split second. "Cute," she said, then went right back to typing. "Maybe one day you'll upgrade." That maybe hit like a dent straight to the ego. I laughed it off because that's what men do when the person they love just sucker punches their pride. "Yeah," I said, "maybe after I stop funding your oat milk habit." She rolled her eyes. "Don't start. I have a call in 10. So I stood there next to my brand new car, smiling like an idiot while she walked back inside. Later that night, she posted a photo on Instagram. The caption, "Marry someone who supports your dreams." I remember staring at it, wondering if she meant it ironically. Because lately, the only dreams she supported were her own. Still, I tried to keep believing. We all have that phase where we think time will fix things. I told myself, she's just busy, things will get better. Spoiler, they didn't. Work wasn't much better, but at least it made sense. Computers behave predictably. People don't. I was the IT project manager at a mid-sized firm, which basically means I was paid to fix everyone else's chaos. My days were full of urgent emails like, "The printer's not working," or "Why can't I log in?" Usually followed by, "Oops, never mind." Amanda, on the other hand, treated work like religion. Her job wasn't just a paycheck, it was her identity. Marketing director at a big agency downtown. She could spin dirt into diamonds if it meant closing a deal. Our fridge was covered with vision boards and motivational quotes. "Don't wait for opportunity, create it, and work hard, sparkle harder." Meanwhile, my sticky note just said, "Buy milk." Our conversations became less like a couple and more like two coworkers scheduling a Zoom. "Did you pay the utilities?" she'd ask. "Yep." "Can you pick up dry cleaning?" "Sure." "We need to post more on social for the algorithm." Whose algorithm?" We hadn't had dinner together in weeks, unless you count her half listening on Bluetooth while I reheated leftovers. Even when she was home, she wasn't present. She'd sit on the couch, AirPods in, laughing at something on TikTok while I sat beside her watching reruns of Brooklyn Nine-Nine like a widower with Wi-Fi. The worst part? She was so good at pretending everything was fine that sometimes I started to believe her. We'd go out for brunch with friends, and she'd hold my hand across the table for exactly 7 seconds, the perfect amount of time for an Instagram story. "See," she'd whisper after posting it, "people need to see we're strong." "People or you?" I asked once. She didn't answer. That's the thing about living with someone who's mastered appearances. You start to question reality itself. Then came the argument. Not our first, but the one that stuck. It was a Saturday, and I was fixing the Wi-Fi for the third time that week. Amanda came downstairs in gym clothes, holding her water bottle like a trophy. "You still working on that?" she asked, annoyed. "It's literally my job," I said. She crossed her arms. "No, your job is to communicate better. You've been disconnected lately." Ironic choice of words, I muttered, holding up a router. She sighed dramatically. "You're impossible sometimes. I'm trying to help us grow, and you're just comfortable." That word, comfortable, landed like an insult. "Sorry I'm not addicted to hashtags and caffeine," I said. "Wow," she snapped. "You really resent my success, don't you?" I stared at her, speechless. "What success? You're never home. We don't even talk anymore unless it's about bills or brand colors." "Maybe if you were more ambitious, I wouldn't have to carry the both of us," she said. That one stung. "Carry? Amanda, we both work full-time. I pay the mortgage, the car insurance, half your student loans, Don't guilt me, she shouted, grabbing her gym bag. Some of us actually want to build something in life. Yeah, I said under my breath. An ego. She slammed the door. For the rest of the weekend, she ghosted me from 2 rooms away. No texts, no calls, not even a good night. When she finally spoke Monday morning, it was just to ask if I'd taken out the trash. That's when I knew we weren't a couple anymore. We were coexisting, like two coworkers in an open office, politely avoiding eye contact until the meeting's over. So I buried myself in work, stayed late fixing servers, running system checks, doing anything to avoid the silence waiting at home. My coworkers started calling me the ghost because I'd stay past midnight. I didn't mind. The hum of computers was easier company than my wife's passive-aggressive sighs. Then came March. I remember it clearly because Amanda had just landed a major partnership with a fitness brand. She celebrated by going out with her team for drinks. I celebrated by microwaving frozen lasagna alone. She came home at 2 a.m. smelling like champagne and victory. Babe, she said, collapsing onto the bed, you should have seen it. Everyone kept saying how inspiring we are. Like, our story. Our story? I asked, turning off my laptop. Yeah, you know, two driven people balancing marriage and career. It's aspirational. I stared at her. Amanda, you were at a bar bragging about our marriage to people who haven't met me. She shrugged. It's branding. Right. My life had become content. Still, part of me kept hoping she'd notice me again. That she'd wake up one day and realize she missed the old us. The goofy, broke, happy idiots who used to dance in the kitchen and burn pancakes on Sundays. Instead, she doubled down on the power couple act. Bought matching outfits for a photo shoot. Posted captions like, when two hustlers fall in love, magic happens. Meanwhile, I was the magician's assistant, smiling while she made my existence disappear. But here's the thing about denial. It's comforting. I told myself she was just going through a phase. I even started planning a weekend getaway, thinking maybe a change of scenery would help. Found this cabin in Colorado. Quiet, scenic, perfect for reconnection. When I showed her the idea, she said, a cabin? No Wi-Fi? What would we even do? Talk, I offered. She laughed. You're cute. I wasn't joking. By April, things were functional. Not happy, not tragic, just fine. The kind of fine that makes your soul itch. She was working later than ever, and I'd stopped waiting up. Our schedules didn't overlap anymore. When people asked how married life was, I'd say, like Windows updates, long, confusing, and I'm not sure it's working. Still, I kept trying. Bought flowers once. She said they were off-brand colors. Cooked dinner, she ordered Uber Eats. Tried talking about how I felt. She replied, can we not make this about feelings right now? So I did what every man with emotional constipation does. I stuffed it down and kept driving forward. And that's when fate decided to play bumper cars. That Thursday, April 14th, I stayed late at work. Again. The office was empty except for me, a half-dead vending machine, and the sound of rain outside. My phone buzzed once, Amanda texting, big pitch tomorrow, don't wait up. I smiled sadly, grabbed my keys, and headed out. The rain was coming down hard, the kind that made the streetlights blur like watercolor. I remember turning on my wipers, the rhythm steady, almost hypnotic. My playlist was on shuffle, John Mayer singing something ironic about heartbreak. Then headlights, a horn, metal screaming, and nothing. People talk about seeing their life flash before their eyes. I didn't. I just saw Amanda's text still glowing on my dashboard. Don't wait up. And for the first time, I didn't. If I could rewind time, I'd go back to that Thursday morning and fake food poisoning. Call in sick, stay in bed, eat cereal, and pretend adulthood didn't exist. But no, because I'm the kind of guy who thinks responsibility is a personality trait. It was April 14th. A Thursday so ordinary could have been a stock photo. I'd spent the whole day buried in system errors, patching code, and listening to my coworker Gary hum 90s R&B like he was auditioning for a nostalgia tour. By the time the office started emptying out, I was still hunched over my desk, trying to save a client database that had crashed harder than my marriage was about to. My phone buzzed. Amanda. Finally, a little attention, right? Nope, just a text. Don't forget, my firm's gala is next week. Wear something that says professional, not predictable. Translation, don't embarrass me. I sent a thumbs up emoji and went back to typing. Because that's marriage, isn't it? Love in the age of passive-aggressive emojis. Around 8 p.m., I shut down my computer, stretched my back, and stared out the office window. The rain had started. Soft at first, then steady, like someone up there slowly turning up the faucet. The parking lot glistened under the lamplight. It would have been poetic if it didn't feel like foreshadowing. I called Amanda just to say hi, maybe hear something human. Straight to voicemail. Then again, she was probably in a strategy session, or maybe just strategizing how to dodge my calls. Either way, I wasn't surprised. I threw my laptop bag into the passenger seat of my Camry, that shiny symbol of modest dreams, and pulled out into the wet night. The windshield wipers kept rhythm with my thoughts. Swish, sigh, swish, sigh. I remember thinking I should stop for gas or coffee, but my brain was on autopilot, running on the fumes of exhaustion and denial. The city lights blurred in the rain. Everything looked soft and distant, like reality had Vaseline on the lens. I turned up the radio, some late-night host rambling about weekend plans, and tried not to think about the fact that I couldn't remember the last time Amanda and I laughed together. Then it happened. A blinding flash of headlights came from the left. My brain screamed before my mouth did. Horn, tires screeching. A crunch so deep it felt like the world folded in on itself. Then, silence. They say in near-death moments, time slows down. Lies. Doesn't slow, it snaps. 1 second you're a guy with plans, the next you're a rag doll in a metal coffin. The airbag punched me like karma. My chest seized, my leg. Well, let's just say God didn't design it to bend that way. The smell hit next. Burning rubber, engine oil, and fear. Then came the sound. A distant car alarm, wailing like it was mourning me. I tried moving. Bad idea. My whole body lit up with pain like fireworks, except none of them were pretty. My vision blurred, and the edges went dark. Somewhere, I heard a woman's voice shouting for help. Then sirens. Next thing I knew, I was on a stretcher, rain still falling on my face. A paramedic leaned over me. Young guy, early 20s, face set in professional panic. "Sir, can you hear me?" "Barely," I croaked. "Stay with me, okay? You're gonna be all right." Classic line. They probably teach it in Paramedic 101. Lie convincingly to keep them conscious. Inside the ambulance, everything was chaos. Beeping monitors, oxygen masks, someone saying compound fracture, another person saying possible internal bleed. I wanted to ask what that meant, but decided ignorance was bliss. They kept me awake, asking questions to assess cognitive function. Name, date, next of kin. "Wife's name?" one asked. "Amanda Walsh," I said. "She's my emergency contact." They jotted it down and called it into the hospital. I remember hearing snippets of radio chatter. Male, mid-30s, car collision, conscious but critical. Critical. There's a word that sticks. By the time we reached the ER, I was in that weird limbo between pain and numbness. They rushed me through a maze of white lights and masks. Everything smelled like disinfectant and panic. A nurse leaned over me. "Sir, you've sustained multiple fractures. We're prepping for surgery, but we need consent. You have any allergies?" "Penicillin," I muttered. She nodded. "Okay, we'll need your emergency contact to sign off." "My wife," I said again. "She's on file." They dialed. I could hear the faint ringing. 1 ring, 2 rings, 3, voicemail. The nurse frowned. "We'll try again." Second attempt, nothing. Third, still nothing. "Try texting her," the nurse said gently. So I did. My hands were trembling, my phone slick from rain and sweat. "Car crash, in ER. Need you to sign surgery consent. Please call me." Minutes passed. Every beep of the heart monitor felt louder. Finally, my phone buzzed. Relief flooded me, until I read it. "Can't this wait? We're busy at work." I actually laughed, out loud. The nurse looked at me, concerned. "Sir?" I shook my head, the laughter turning into something ugly. "Yeah, guess it can wait." She exchanged a look with the doctor. One of those silent, yikes kind of looks. They tried again, calling her from the hospital's number this time. Still no answer. The doctor sighed and said, "We can't proceed without consent unless it's life-threatening." "Well," I said, voice cracking, "my leg looks like a pretzel, Doc. You tell me." He didn't laugh. Then I heard another voice, male, calm but firm. "If you need consent, I'll sign, Ryan." My brother, my miracle and my chaos. He must have broken the speed of sound getting there, because 1 minute I was alone and the next he was at my side, soaked from the rain, panting, eyes wild. "Bro, you look like crap." "Thanks for the sympathy," I muttered. He looked at the doctor. "I'm family. What do you need?" The doctor explained the situation. Ryan didn't hesitate. "Sign me up, whatever it takes." "Legally, we need—" "Buddy," Ryan interrupted. "You can either fix him now or explain to our mom why you didn't later. Your call." The doctor blinked, sighed, and shoved a clipboard at him. Ryan signed without blinking. Then, true to form, he leaned over me and said, "I told you to buy a truck. You never listen." I smirked weakly. "Next time, I'll buy a tank." That's the spirit. The anesthesia hit me fast. The last thing I remember before going under was Ryan muttering, "Don't die, I already called dibs on your TV, but I'm not ready for the rest of your crap." When I woke up, I was in a hospital room, high on morphine and regret. My leg was in a cast, my throat dry, my body stitched together like a bad quilt. A nurse hovered nearby. "Welcome back, Mr. Walsh. Surgery went well." "Define well," I croaked. "You'll recover, but it'll take time." "Great. Can you also recover a marriage?" She smiled awkwardly. "I'll get your brother." Ryan stumbled in, holding a cup of coffee and a half-eaten donut. "Hey, Bionic Man, you survived." "Barely." He sat down, his clothes still wrinkled, eyes red from exhaustion. "You scared the hell out of me. The nurse said you were making jokes mid-surgery prep." "Yeah," I said. "I had to keep the brand consistent." He laughed, shaking his head. "Classic you. So, where's Amanda?" I stared at the ceiling. "Probably networking." He frowned. "She didn't show?" "She texted, said she was busy." His mouth fell open. "Busy? You were literally being glued back together." "Yeah," I said. "Guess she had a meeting with Jesus penciled in later." He leaned back in his chair, muttering, "Unbelievable." For the next few hours, he stayed by my side, cracking jokes, distracting me from the reality that my wife had chosen deadlines over me. At one point, the nurse asked if I wanted to call her again. I said, "No, let her circle back." Ryan snorted so hard he spilled his coffee. That night, as the morphine haze deepened, I drifted in and out of half-sleep. I saw flashes, Amanda's face at our wedding, her saying forever, her eyes bright with tears. Then I'd blink and she was gone, replaced by that text bubble. Can't this wait? By morning, the doctor came in with an update. "You're lucky. The surgery went clean. With rehab, you'll walk again." "Good," I said, "because I've got places to walk away from." He didn't get the joke. Ryan came back with breakfast, terrible hospital pancakes, and sat beside me. "So, game plan?" I stared at the window. The rain had stopped. Sunlight broke through like the world was mocking me with optimism. "Game plan?" I repeated. "Recover. Rebuild. Reevaluate who deserves emergency contact privileges." Ryan grinned. "That's a start." He reached into his jacket and handed me my phone. "In case you feel like deleting someone's number." I looked at the screen, Amanda's unread texts from last night. "Glad you're okay. Work's been insane. Let's talk soon." Soon. The most useless word in the English language. I locked the phone, set it aside, and took a deep breath. The pain in my leg throbbed in sync with my heart, but beneath it was something sharper, a quiet, growing certainty. The crash hadn't just broken bones, it had shattered illusions. And as Ryan started rambling about his plan to smuggle real food into the hospital, I realized something profound. Maybe this wreck wasn't the worst thing that ever happened to me. Maybe it was the universe's brutal way of saying, "Wake up, idiot. You've been asleep at the wheel for years." Because when the person who promised to love you in sickness ghosts you from the comfort of her ergonomic office chair, that's not love. And me, I was finally done being part of her brand. If loyalty had a face, it looked like Ryan Walsh at 3 in the morning in a hospital chair, head tilted back, mouth open, snoring loud enough to trigger the heart rate monitor. The man had fallen asleep mid-vigil, clutching an empty coffee cup like a soldier holding a spent weapon. When I woke up after surgery, drugged out and sore, he was still there. My brother, the human embodiment of chaos and unconditional love. The nurse whispered, "He's been here all night." I squinted. "Yeah, I can tell. Sounds like a chainsaw with asthma." Ryan jolted awake. I wasn't sleeping. I was meditating aggressively. "Uh-huh," I said. "You were auditioning for a wildlife documentary." He stretched, cracked his neck, and grinned. "Good to see you alive, bro. You were starting to look like modern art down there on the pavement." "Still feel like it," I groaned. Ryan had that look, half worry, half relief. The same one he wore when we were kids, and he accidentally set Mom's curtains on fire. "They said you'll be okay," he said. "Couple months, you'll be walking again. Probably won't win any marathons, but hey, you never ran before either." I smirked. "Thanks for the encouragement, coach." He leaned forward. "For real, though, what the hell happened? Truck ran a red light. My Camry didn't survive." "Damn," he said, shaking his head. "RIP to the most responsible car ever made." "Yeah," I said quietly. She didn't even flinch. Then came the question I was dreading. "Amanda?" I stared at the wall. She texted. Ryan frowned. "Texted? Like what? Hope you don't die, lol?" "Something like that. She said she was busy." He blinked, processing. "Busy? While you were being rebuilt like IKEA furniture?" Apparently the quarterly report waits for no man. Ryan stood up, pacing the room like a caged lion. "Man, I swear, if I ever meet that woman again, I'm stapling your medical bill to her vision board." "Relax," I said, but he wasn't listening. He grabbed his phone, scrolling furiously. "She's posting on social media 2 hours ago. Rooftop mixer with the team. Hashtag boss energy." Unbelievable. "Rooftop party?" I asked, laughing bitterly. "Guess the bar has better trauma care than this hospital." Ryan showed me the post. Amanda, in a sleek black dress, holding a champagne glass, smiling like she invented success. My stomach twisted, not from pain meds, but from the kind of disbelief that tastes metallic. Ryan shook his head. "You're better off, man. She's addicted to applause." "Yeah," I said softly, "and I'm the stagehand cleaning up confetti." The nurse came back with painkillers, giving us both the side eye for laughing too loud. "Try to rest," she said. "You'll need it for physical therapy." Ryan saluted. "Yes, ma'am, don't worry, I'll keep him alive. He owes me beer." When she left, I sighed. "I don't know, man. I thought she'd at least show up." Ryan sat back down. "People show you who they are when it's inconvenient. You just didn't want to believe her." He was right. I'd spent years convincing myself Amanda's ambition was admirable, not poisonous. That her distance was temporary. That one day she'd come home and remember I existed. Turns out, she remembered hashtags better than hospital rooms. Ryan stayed the whole day. He brought food, well, food-adjacent items. 2 breakfast burritos and a questionable milkshake he swore had healing protein. He cracked jokes with the nurses, told them I once cried watching Field of Dreams, Betrayal, and tried to keep my spirits up. At one point, he leaned over and whispered, "Hey, if you need me to fake cry when Amanda finally shows, I've been practicing." "Don't waste the performance," I said. "She's not coming." He gave me that look again, the one that said he hated being right. By the second night, I was restless. Hospitals are like casinos. No clocks, bad lighting, and you leave poorer than you arrived. Ryan was scrolling through his phone when I asked, "Why'd you drop everything and come here so fast?" He shrugged. "You're my brother. You'd do the same." I smiled. "Maybe, but I'd probably stop for gas first." He laughed. "I didn't. Pretty sure I broke at least 3 traffic laws. One cop tried to pull me over, but I just yelled, family emergency," and kept going. Did that work? No idea. Might get a ticket in the mail. That was Ryan. Impulsive, loud, loyal. The kind of guy who'd fight God if he looked at me wrong. Later that night, the doctor came in with updates. "You'll need at least 8 weeks of rehab," he said. Maybe longer, depending on progress. Ryan asked all the right questions: meds, physical therapy, discharge. Amanda should have been there for that conversation. Instead, it was my brother taking notes like a responsible spouse. When the doctor left, Ryan said, "You're staying with me after they kick you out of here." "I can't do that. You've got roommates." "One moved out, the other one's too stoned to notice new people. You'll fit right in." I'll be fine at home, I protested weakly. He raised an eyebrow. You mean her home? The woman who RSVP'd maybe to your medical emergency? Point taken, I sighed. Good, I'll clear out the guest room. You can have the bed. I'll take the couch. I'm not kicking you off your couch. Please, I've slept on worse. Remember Uncle Ray's fishing trip? I shared a tent with a raccoon. I laughed, wincing at the pain. All right, fine, but only till I can walk again. He smirked. Or until you learn how to block her number without crying. I flipped him off. You're a real comfort, you know that? Hey, someone's got to keep your ego from limping harder than your leg. He stayed again that night. The nurses offered him a cot, but he refused. Cots are for people who don't snore proudly. At around 3 a.m., I woke up to find him pacing the room, whispering into his phone. Yeah, he's stable. No, she hasn't shown. Yeah, she texted once. Unbelievable, right? He noticed me stirring and mouthed, Mom. I groaned. You told Mom? Had to. She'd kill me if she found out later. Great. Now she's going to fly down here and start a second surgery with her chancla. Ryan grinned. Honestly, you deserve it. The next morning, I asked the nurse for my phone. I wanted to see if Amanda had finally remembered she was married. There it was. One unread message. Glad you're okay. Work's been crazy. Let's talk soon. That was it. No call, no visit, no emotion. Just corporate empathy. Ryan read it over my shoulder. Wow. She really typed that with her whole chest, huh? I guess she thought punctuation counted as affection. He whistled. You gotta admit, that's next level cold. Yeah, I said. Even Siri sounds more concerned. He clapped his hands. Okay, no more hospital blues. We're focusing on recovery and revenge. Revenge? I raised an eyebrow. Not violent revenge, legal, emotionally satisfying revenge. The kind where she realizes you're happier without her, and it ruins her skincare routine. I chuckled. That's oddly specific. He grinned. I've dated women like her. Trust me, psychological warfare is moisturizer for the soul. When discharge day came, Ryan handled everything. Paperwork and transport, prescriptions. Amanda didn't even call to ask when I was coming home. Not once. As he wheeled me out of the hospital, I glanced at my phone again. Still nothing. Ryan noticed. Stop looking for a ghost, bro. She made her choice. Now make yours. That hit harder than the morphine drip. Back at his place, Ryan had actually prepared. There was a ramp at the entrance, probably built with duct tape and prayer, and a big handwritten sign over the couch. Welcome home, broken man. I laughed so hard I nearly popped a stitch. You're insane. Insanely supportive, he corrected. Also, I got you this. He handed me a small silver bell. What's this for? Press it when you need something. Snacks, painkillers, moral support, roast sessions. I'm like room service, but free and funnier. I rang it immediately. Ding. He poked his head out of the kitchen. See, it works. For the first time since the accident, I felt something close to peace. My leg hurt, my pride hurt worse, but Ryan's dumb jokes were anesthesia for the soul. That night, he ordered pizza and we watched old basketball highlights. He kept saying, you're going to be back on your feet in no time. And even though I didn't believe it, I wanted to. Then, out of nowhere, he said, you know, maybe this crash was a reset button. I looked at him. How do you figure? You were stuck in a loop. Work, marriage, rinse, repeat. Maybe the universe had to throw you through a windshield to make you pay attention. Thanks, Buddha. Real comforting. He laughed. I'm just saying, sometimes destruction's the only way to rebuild. I thought about that long after he fell asleep on the couch, snoring into a pillow. He wasn't wrong. My life had crashed in more ways than one. The car, my body, my marriage, they'd all collided at once. But lying there, surrounded by the smell of pizza and brotherly sarcasm, I realized something. Maybe I wasn't broken. Maybe I was just under renovation. And this time I'd be the one drafting the blueprints. Recovery sounds peaceful until you actually have to do it. Everyone pictures soft blankets, inspirational playlists, and supportive spouses feeding you soup. My reality? Ryan's guest room smelled like frozen pizza. The mattress had the firmness of wet cardboard. And every time I moved my leg, it felt like an exorcism. My so-called healing playlist was Ryan's snoring, and the occasional, you good, bro, yelled from the kitchen. Amanda? She sent one text that week. Hope you're healing. Things are wild at the office. We just landed a big client. No love you, no need anything, just corporate enthusiasm, and an emoji that looked more like a high five than a heart. I stared at it for a full minute before locking my phone. Ryan peeked in, holding a plate of cold pancakes. "Breakfast of champions," he said. "Champions of what? Disappointment?" "Hey," he said, "they're gluten-free." Probably. Lisa, his roommate's girlfriend, was the only thing standing between me and complete medical negligence. She was a nurse, God's gift to men who think Google can replace actual healthcare. She'd come by after her shifts to check my bandages, refill my meds, and remind me that I wasn't allowed to be a hero by skipping physical therapy. She called me Mr. Miracle. I didn't have the heart to tell her I felt more like Mr. Malfunction. Ryan adored her. "Isn't she great?" he'd whisper whenever she left. "If Amanda had even half her empathy, you'd still be married." "Ryan," I said one night, "stop trying to turn my medical tragedy into your dating highlight reel." He grinned. "Can't help it. Women love a man who supports his broken brother. Yeah, because nothing says sexy like bedpans and gauze." He laughed, tossing a pillow at me. "Shut up and take your meds, Grandpa." The days blurred together. Physical therapy, painkillers, sarcastic conversations. I discovered new talents. Balancing crutches while microwaving burritos. Showering with one leg wrapped in a trash bag and pretending I didn't hear Ryan's motivational speeches. "Bro, recovery's like rebooting a computer," he'd say. "Takes time, but when it's done, you're faster and less buggy." "Great," I'd mutter. "Can't wait to install the update where my wife cares." The first real crack in my numbness came one Thursday afternoon. Ryan came into my room holding his phone, trying not to look smug. "You need to see this." On the screen, Amanda, smiling in a photo tagged at a rooftop party. Caption, "Grind now, shine later, dash on team no days off for boss vibes." The comments were full of heart emojis and "Yas Queen" responses. I stared at it, jaw tight. "She's incredible," I said flatly. The woman managed to turn my near-death experience into a branding opportunity. Ryan whistled, cold-blooded. "You sure you didn't marry an AI prototype?" Would explain a lot. He scrolled further. "Bro, look at this. Same night you were puking from pain meds." She posted a story about her journey to balance. I took the phone, laughing bitterly. She balanced my medical bills with her networking schedule. Impressive. Ryan sat down beside me. "Listen, I know it hurts, but maybe this is good. The universe just exposed her with a Wi-Fi connection." "Yeah," I said, "and I didn't even need divine intervention, just Instagram." After that, I stopped pretending. Every photo, every post, every hashtag Hustle Queen caption, each one chipped away the last illusions I had about her. The woman I married wasn't gone. She just evolved into someone I didn't recognize. So I started focusing on myself. Lisa became my unofficial therapist. During one of her checkups, she said, "You're healing well, but you've got that look, the kind people get when they're not sure what hurts more, the body or the ego." I chuckled. "Probably both. The leg's just louder." She smiled. "Physical wounds heal faster. The rest takes time." I liked Lisa's kind of honesty, gentle but surgical. She wasn't trying to make me feel better. She was making me face the fact that my world had cracked, and I was the only one who could rebuild it. Meanwhile, Ryan kept up his role as comic relief and chaos agent. One night, I woke up to find him watching late-night infomercials. "Bro," he said, pointing at the TV, "we should buy that blender. It can crush ice and emotions." "I've already got one of those," I said. "It's called marriage." He laughed so hard he fell off the couch. "Too soon." "Not soon enough," I muttered. When the doctor cleared me to start light walking, Ryan threw an actual party. He invited his friends, ordered wings, and taped a sign to my walker that said, "Caution, under construction." Lisa rolled her eyes, but stayed, probably to make sure I didn't break anything else. During the party, Ryan toasted, "To my brother, the only man who can survive a truck, a broken leg, and a corporate wife without losing his sarcasm." Everyone cheered. I just raised my soda can. "To painkillers," I said. "The only relationship that's actually working." Laughter erupted, and for a brief second, the bitterness loosened its grip. But the quiet moments still hit hard. Nights when the pain throbbed, when I scrolled through my phone out of habit and saw Amanda's name, mocking me from message threads filled with old love, now fossilized. I never replied to her new texts. Didn't delete them either. That was my problem. I wanted closure from someone who specialized in open-ended statements. Then came the bills. Hospitals don't just fix you. They send invoices that could fund a small nation. I was flipping through them when I noticed something odd. My insurance company had already processed part of the claim, but the authorized contact wasn't me. It was Amanda. My pulse spiked. I called the insurance rep, a cheerful woman named Carla, who sounded like she was on her fourth cup of coffee. "Hi, Mr. Walsh. Yes, we've already spoken to your wife about the payout process." "Sorry, what payout?" She explained, like I was a confused toddler, that since I was injured, Amanda had inquired about potential benefits tied to my policy. "She mentioned wanting to handle the finances for you while you recovered," Carla said brightly. "Oh, did she? How thoughtful of her," I said, forcing a smile that Carla couldn't see. "Would you like to confirm the bank account she provided?" I felt my jaw tighten. "Yeah, I'd love to." She read it out. It wasn't ours. It was an account I didn't recognize. By the time I hung up, my painkillers couldn't touch the kind of ache I was feeling. Ryan walked in, holding a bag of chips. "Why do you look like you just saw a ghost?" "Because I might have just spoken to one." Translation: Amanda called the insurance company, twice. She's trying to cash out my policy. He froze mid-chew. "You're kidding." "Nope. She tried to profit off your accident?" "Apparently my near-death experience was her investment opportunity." Ryan dropped the chips. "That's it. I'm buying a megaphone and driving to her office." "Don't," I said. "She'll just spin it into a workplace harassment complaint." He paced the room. "You need to cut her off, man. Financially, legally, spiritually. Whatever it takes." I nodded, but my mind was already ahead of him. I wasn't just angry, I was done. I spent years keeping the peace, apologizing for existing, making excuses for her selfishness. The crash didn't destroy my life. It highlighted who'd been quietly dismantling it. That night, while Ryan snored on the couch and Lisa's laughter echoed faintly from the hallway, I opened my laptop. If Amanda wanted a game, I'd play it better. I checked our joint accounts, reviewed the insurance terms, and started documenting everything. My IT brain kicked in. Patterns, passwords, timestamps. I knew how to track digital footprints, and Amanda had left plenty. By sunrise, I had enough evidence to show she'd been siphoning money for months. Small withdrawals, masked under business expenses. There was even a transfer labeled investment. The destination? That same mystery account. Ryan woke up around 7 a.m. to find me still typing. "Dude, are you hacking the Pentagon?" "Worse," I said. "I'm logging into marriage hell." He blinked. "You're actually smiling. That's terrifying." Let's just say the crash woke me up. Lisa stopped by later that morning, noticed the gleam in my eyes, and said, "You look motivated." "Yeah," I said. "Turns out pain meds pair nicely with revenge plans." She laughed. "Just don't mix them with tequila. No promises." I wasn't sure what the next step was, but I knew one thing. Amanda's empire of control was about to crumble. She built her brand on trust and transparency, but I had the receipts, literally. As I leaned back, leg throbbing but spirit steady, Ryan tossed me the TV remote. "So what's next?" "Operation Takeback," I said. He grinned. "Finally, I have been waiting for the montage part of this movie." And as ridiculous as it sounded, he was right. My story wasn't ending with heartbreak, it was pivoting. Because if there's one thing I learned from Amanda, it's how to spin a narrative. Only this time, it was my turn to control it. There are two kinds of painkillers in life. The ones you swallow and the ones you discover through betrayal. Guess which one hit harder? 2 weeks into recovery, I was finally hobbling around Ryan's house like a slow-moving furniture hazard. The physical therapy was paying off. I could shuffle from the couch to the fridge without looking like I'd been hit by a truck. Oh wait, I had been hit by a truck. Anyway, progress. That morning, Ryan was in the kitchen making coffee the way only he could, so strong it could strip paint. I was sorting through a mountain of mail on the dining table, trying to feel like a functioning adult again. Bills, flyers, hospital statements. I opened one envelope from my insurance company, expecting another depressing reminder of how much it costs to stay alive in America. But this one was different. It had a note at the bottom. Follow up on beneficiary update as requested. I frowned. Beneficiary update? Ryan looked up. What's that? I didn't request any update. Maybe they made a mistake. Yeah, maybe, except when I called, the rep confirmed, cheerful as ever, that Amanda had called twice on my behalf. She'd inquired about my insurance payout, apparently as my next of kin. The phrase made my skin crawl. Next of kin, like she was rehearsing my obituary. Wait, I said. She called after the crash? Yes, the rep chirped. A day later, actually. She wanted to verify your coverage and confirm your beneficiary status. I swallowed hard. And who's listed? Oh, your wife. She's the primary beneficiary. Would you like to make changes? Ryan, who'd been listening, mouthed, hell yes. I ended the call, hands trembling. She called the insurance company the day after my surgery. I said quietly. Ryan froze mid-sip. You're kidding. I wish. Bro. He said. That's sinister. Yeah, I muttered. The kind of thing they make true crime documentaries about. He slammed his mug down. That's it. We're calling my lawyer buddy, Dugan. He helped me when my ex tried to claim my PlayStation in the breakup. Guy's a legend. Ryan, I said, pinching the bridge of my nose. This is a little bigger than a PlayStation. Exactly why we need Dugan. Within an hour, Ryan's lawyer friend, Mr. Dugan, was sitting at the dining table, eating leftover pizza like it was payment. The man looked like Morgan Freeman after a bad night's sleep and sounded like he narrated westerns in his spare time. So, he said, wiping his mouth, your wife tried to access your insurance payout? Twice, I confirmed, without your consent. Correct. He leaned back, steepling his fingers. Classic predatory move. I've seen it before. Divorce cases, fake disability claims, sometimes even family fraud. You'd be surprised what people do when they smell money. Ryan slammed his palm on the table. I knew she was shady, always talking about scaling assets and leveraging opportunities. She meant you. Dugan chuckled. Your brother's not wrong, but don't panic. We'll fix this. First, revoke her access to every account she touches. Then, file a power of attorney so no one can act in your name without permission. Ryan grinned. Can I be his power of attorney? Dugan shrugged. If he trusts you. Ryan threw up his arms. Finally, legal authority over my older brother. This is the dream. Don't make me regret it, I warned. He smirked. Too late. Dugan slid a few forms across the table. Also, change your emergency contact at work, bank, and hospital. Replace her name everywhere. She's proven unreliable. Unreliable, I said? That's a polite word for sociopathic. Ryan laughed, but it came out bitter. We spent hours calling banks, updating records, closing joint accounts. Every institution had the same tone. Oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah, no kidding. My marriage was turning into a corporate risk assessment. By the end of the day, I was drained but oddly lighter, like deleting a virus you didn't know was eating your hard drive. Amanda, meanwhile, must have sensed the financial tremors. Around 9 p.m., my phone buzzed with a message. Hey, just checking in. How's recovery? I've been thinking about you a lot. I stared at it. Ryan leaned over my shoulder. Oh, now she's thinking about you? Let me guess. Her card just got declined? I didn't reply. 2 hours later, she texted again. We should talk soon. I know things have been tense, but I still care about you. Still care. Like she was talking about a coworker who'd been laid off. Ryan said, if you respond, I'm hiding your crutches. I laughed, but I didn't respond. For the first time in months, I didn't need to. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of Ryan on the phone, pacing the hallway. Yeah, close the joint account completely. No, she doesn't get access. Yes, I'm authorized, legally. I have the power now, baby. Who are you talking to? I called out. Your bank, he said, grinning. Feels good to be in charge. I understand now why dictators get addicted to this. You're not a dictator. You're my financial babysitter. Semantics, he said. Later that day, Lisa stopped by. She noticed my improved mood immediately. You look better, she said. What changed? Let's just say I've been doing some emotional spring cleaning. Ryan popped his head in, and by that he means deleting his wife faster than spam emails. Lisa laughed. Good. Toxic people are worse than infections. You can't heal till you cut them out. I nodded. Yeah, only this infection knew my social security number. Over the next few days, I found more red flags. Unauthorized charges labeled marketing expense, transfers to accounts under business names I'd never heard of. Amanda was practically looting our finances while I was flat on my back. I confronted her over the phone because I couldn't risk hobbling into battle just yet. "Hey," I said, voice calm but cold. "You've been moving money from our joint account. Care to explain?" She sighed like I was inconveniencing her. "It's not what you think." "Oh, good," I said, "because I think it's theft. I'm not stealing. I'm just reallocating funds. You're terrible with money, and I didn't want our bills to fall behind." "Reallocating funds?" I repeated. "You mean like a Ponzi scheme?" "Don't be dramatic," she said. "I'm just managing things until you're back on your feet." "Funny." And I said, "You didn't manage to show up when I was on my back in the hospital." She went quiet. "I was busy. You know how my schedule is." "Yeah," I said. "I read your schedule. Hush team no days off, right?" Her tone hardened. "You've been stalking my posts? Just the ones where you're celebrating my absence." "Wow," she snapped. "You've gotten petty." "Petty? Amanda, you called my insurance company before visiting me. You were more concerned about the payout than my pulse." "You're twisting things," she said quickly. "I was just making sure everything was in order." "Yeah," I said. "So you'd know how much you'd collect if I didn't make it." There was silence on the line. Long, heavy, damning. Then she said it. "You always make everything about trust. Maybe if you'd been more ambitious, I wouldn't have to handle things alone." And that was it. The mask slipped. I didn't even feel anger anymore, just clarity. "Thanks," I said. "You just made this really easy." "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means the next time the bank calls, it won't be to verify your name. It'll be to remove it." She gasped. "You wouldn't—" "Already did," and I hung up. Ryan, who'd been eavesdropping from the hallway, subtlety isn't his strength, popped in clapping. "Beautiful. Chills, 10 out of 10 delivery." "Thanks," I said, exhaling. He raised his coffee mug. "To new beginnings and old endings that deserved it." I clinked my water bottle against his mug. "To peace and prenups we should have had." That night, lying in bed, I scrolled through old photos. Our wedding day, vacations, smiles that now look staged. I realized something painful but freeing. Amanda didn't change. I just stopped pretending her ambition was love. I deleted her number, not out of spite, out of survival. As I turned off the light, I caught my reflection in the window. The bruises were fading, but my eyes looked sharper, wiser. Ryan had been right about one thing. People show who they are when it's inconvenient. Amanda showed me, and I finally believed her. The next morning, Dugan called. "Paperwork's all set," he said. "You're legally protected now. She can't touch your assets or accounts." "Thanks, Dugan." "Don't thank me yet," he said. "Rebuilding takes time, but you're doing the right thing." When I hung up, Ryan handed me a cup of coffee. "So, what's the plan now?"